way, then this way. Okay, go for it. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, and then I'm just gonna bring the audio then.
Can you talk a little bit about what your style says about you?
For me, like, style when I was younger was something that I really strayed away from because I wasn't comfortable with my gender presentation, having to put on girls' clothes and like really just hating it. Once I started transitioning and like just being more comfortable in my body and being able to wear the clothes that I always had dreamed of wearing, passing and having someone like, you know, he me and like things like that, it's just like, it means the world.
So how were you raised?
I was adopted when I was 0 by my mom and my dad. They're 2 white Jews. They actually got divorced when I was like 1, so I don't have any recollection of them being together. When I was very young, my dad's parents actually were like my parents. My dad worked all the time. My mom died when I was 14. So me and my grandparents have a super special bond now. Like when I go home, it's to their house. It's not to my dad's. I grew up in like 3 different houses, essentially. I always had a bag packed.
Can you talk a little bit about, you were born a girl. How did they treat you and how did you react?
It was never black and white to me. I wasn't like, oh, like I really want to be a boy. Like that's it, like period. So once I realized that I was attracted to women and being like, okay, like, but I'm not, like the word lesbian never fit for me. And I was like, well, like how am I supposed to even explain to like my parents like coming out, being like I'm gay, but I'm kind of not gay because I see myself as a man, but I like women and I'm in a female body, so I guess I'm a lesbian, but like that doesn't actually work. As much as we don't want to be in boxes, sometimes we do want to be in boxes. Sometimes we do want to be able to have quick answers to label ourselves. Thank God for like the internet and like being able to, you know, find like groups of people and like then be like, oh, like wait, like you identified, like oh my God, I didn't even know that existed. But up until that point, I was just like lost. I was never, and I have never really been unhappy with my body, but being almost like your brain being in a state of conflict constantly is just like the most like mind-numbing feeling. I really just wanted to like, you know, wake up with clarity like one day and just be like, oh, like, you know what, I'm gonna put on men's pants, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and like that's fine. Being at a place where like if someone said something back to me, I could be like, you know what, like that's your personal opinion, like I don't care.
Were you totally alone in this, or were you able to talk to your parents, your grandparents?
I mean, my grandparents are super supportive. Whenever I'm with a bunch of my gay friends and like everyone, it's like a kumbaya moment and everyone starts telling their like coming out stories, I'm literally just like, nothing. My grandparents were literally like, you can still marry a Jewish doctor. Like that was it. But once you get to the actual T, like it's like my grandparents like know the T is there, and we'll say like LGBT, but like it's taken a few years. My dad is like almost like it's not real. Like the other day I had lunch actually with him and my sister and I was like, Dad, like I'm starting T in March. Everything for my dad is very personal. Like when I changed my name to Ryley, my birth name is Nina. He picked out my name. When I changed my name, it was like a personal, almost like a very personal attack to him, and he like broke down. And
cried?
Yeah, part of me understood and got that, but then another part of me then felt really unsupportive because he couldn't understand that like just the fact that I was changing my name didn't diminish like my childhood with him. He didn't understand it was me just trying to be me. He'll still call me Nina and he'll still misname me, and I have to very sternly tell him like, Dad, like, you know, it also becomes like a safety issue. If we're at a restaurant and like you're sheing me and calling me Nina and I get up and go to like the men's bathroom, like that can start an issue. And like just like things like that he just doesn't want to go there. Like I don't think he's sat down and really thought about what being trans means and like all of the things that come with it. I live in California now and like I'm gonna start T in March. So like when I come home a few months later, I'm gonna have a deeper voice, I'm gonna have, you know, facial hair, things like that. And it's like I'm worried that if my dad doesn't start like understanding that these things are real, that he's gonna like have a breakdown when I come home and I'm like, hey Dad, and like have, you know, a goatee or any facial hair and have him be like, wait, what the fuck, like this actually happened. As far as my parents go, like my birth parents, I actually really don't have any want to meet them. If I never meet them, I'll be okay. It's like, you're technically my mother, but like, you're not my mom. My mom was the person that was in my life from 0 to 14 and died, and the person that I've missed for all these years is her. It's not you. I've never missed you. My birth mother has always missed me. Like, after I was adopted, my birth mom like would try and make contact with my parents. And I also have siblings, so there are 4 people out there who like share my DNA and look like me. And I would really like to meet them.
When did you figure out like what, you know, who you were and like what you needed to do, like in terms of being trans?
Sexually, I wasn't fulfilled. I didn't like being called like a girl in bed. I think that is a very strong place where like my masculinity really comes out. It's like your most vulnerable state, like when you're naked and when you're interacting with someone and feeling like 2 women in bed. I was like, no, like that's not how I want to feel. I've never, like, the one part of me that I've literally, since I was a kid, never been connected to has always been what I used to call my bits. But, you know, my vagina, I've never been connected to it as a sexual thing. I've never been connected to it. Like, I just like, it's like something that doesn't exist. The first time like I put like a pack on, and like the first time like I had sex with like a strap on, and I was like, oh wait, like these are ways that like this is what has been missing. Girls saying like he, and like this is my boyfriend. Wow, that's what I've always wanted to hear, and I never realized it, but like I always hated being called someone's girlfriend. You're not connecting with your vagina, so of course you don't want your girlfriend to call you their girlfriend. I wasn't around other trans people. You didn't have people on TV that you had lesbians on TV and you had gay guys on TV, but you didn't have trans role models to look up to. And for years of my life, I've always been like it's like, wow, like Ryley's adopted and like you're black and your parents are white and like you're gay. And so I've always been this like the token of every token. Questions that people would not normally ask others, like, well, like, do you wear a pack every day? Like, how do you fuck your girl? It's like, and my way of dealing with that now is like, I just turn the question back on them. It's okay for you to be confused and it's okay for you to have questions, and like that's cool, but like don't put your bullshit on me because it's not my bullshit, it's yours. I have constantly was constantly questioning myself about going on testosterone because I was like, well, like for me, thankfully, I am 6'1" and I can throw my voice. Going on T, I was thinking about it in that way. I was like, oh, well, like I already passed and like all of those things. So like, I don't really need to go on T. But then there are certain parts of me where I was like, you know what? But like, you know, I still get my period. And it's like, that is probably the most female thing ever, right? Because it's like, that then has to do with like, first of all, your hormones for me anyway, my hormones get out of whack. I want to have kids one day. And like, I hope my future partner has a baby and like, that's amazing. But like, for me to like carry, like that's not a thing. How are we gonna alleviate that? Because in my head, I was only ever thinking about T as this like, you know, it'll deepen my voice and like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I don't need that. And like, it's hormones in my body and like, do I want that? But then being like, wait, but the hormones that you do have in your body are actually conflicting with your mental state. It's taken me about a year and a half of thinking it over. And I'm really excited. I'm gonna have top surgery. Because I still do have breasts, and that's another, when I look in the mirror, I thankfully have pretty small boobs, but obviously in the summertime, if I'm just wearing a tank top, you can see them, and then that obviously gives away that that is a female-born person, and then you have to deal with people's bullshit, unfortunately. I was being written a ticket in Newark. When you get on the trains, I didn't know, but you pay before you get on, like with a little like swipe thing, and I didn't see it, so I didn't realize. So when I got off the train, there were a bunch of cops like standing there, and they're asking people for tickets. And I was like, oh, hey, like I've never been on this train system before. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize, like, I can just pay you. Like, it's fine. Like, just tell me what I owe you. And, like, these are, like, 2 white cops, and they were seeing, like, a young black kid in Newark. And they're like, what do you mean you've never ridden the train before? I was like, I've never ridden this train before. I'm not from Newark. And so at this point, I'm just, like, pissed off. I see what they're thinking. It's like, this is a young, black, like a hoodlum. It's like, whatever. So I'm already just, like, pissed off. And I was like, fine, like, if you don't want to take my money, just write me a ticket. Like, let's be on our way. And so one of the cops takes my ID, and he's filling everything out. And he like looks over to his partner, and he like jokingly is like, oh, like, which box do I check, like, for gender? And I turned to him, and I just like fucking like gave it to him. I was like, look, like, if you would like to make this into the biggest headache of your life, we can do that. I'll take both of your badge numbers, and I will happily happily take this where it needs to be taken. Like, I understand that you seem to think that all Black youth are these like unempowered idiots, and like that's fine because that's your own bullshit. All people need are those like few little steps of like, we are the same, for it to become not a factor. And then it becomes an education thing where it's like, hey, let's talk about this. And like, now you are exposed to who I am, and now I know who you are. I don't know anything about Kansas. Let's talk. Like, and you all of a sudden are having these like exchanges that build friendships and build love. And then in the world, when that person goes out and hears someone on the street call someone a faggot or, you know, some transvestite, whatever, they can be like, yo, that's not cool. One of my friends is trans, or like, you know, one of my friends is Black. Like, don't fucking say that shit. And that is how that change slowly, but that's how that change can happen.
Why are you opting out of having you know, the sex change, the actual like genitalia change?
For me, it's not something that is necessary for me. The work that happens for trans women is just so much more evolved, and you end up getting a very beautiful, perfect vagina. And it's not the same for trans guys. You don't all of a sudden get like a 9-inch cock. The thought of someone operating on that part of my body is like horrifying to me. Like, so like for me, it's just top surgery, NT. And for me, that is, to body wise, like that's that form of body completion.
And why in your body is it a good place to be?
Well, because we've been through a lot. I've taken some pretty strong beatings, and I know I'm pretty strong and resilient. I've always had huge feet, and like, yeah, when you're in 3rd grade and have like a size 8, like that's horrible. But now as like a 6'1", like 25-year-old who's like transitioning, I love my big feet. Like, if only like, you know, 10-year-old me, like I could have been like, hey, like one day, don't worry about it. Like, it'll be okay. That's great. That's like a really great feeling. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was amazing, completely amazing. How do you feel?
Good. Cold.
I'm sorry that
Sorry.
you're so cold for a few minutes.
Do you want me to heat up some water for tea? maybe?
No, I'm totally okay. But thank you.
Yeah.
Or I'll take pictures so that you can